Merca. If you live in Merca, you live in the greatest country on this planet. If you live in a free country outside of Merca, chances are good you owe that freedom to Merca. If not in whole, at least in part. Back in a moment. Hello, online pipe community. Ethan, Parsimonious Piper here. Jingoism aside, it is Cobb Tuesday. Got my Cobb Tuesday cob. Took off my Cobb Tuesday hat. It's a little hot out here, 90 plus degrees. Humidity's pushing the feels like up to 99. I'm not wearing a hat today. In my cob, I've got some Heine's blend. The cob, of course, is a Patriot. We'll get to Heine's blend, Heinz blend, something, whatever, in a bit. But first, let's set the jingoism aside. Talk about country. Specifically, my country. Someone mentioned it in one of their videos that they hope that every one of you is as proud of your country as I am of mine, and I echo that sentiment. And I'm not going to I'm not going to go down the road of some of the folks who will say things like, well, you know, if it weren't for us, y'all French would be speaking German. Things like that may be true, but they're beside the point right now. Two things I want to talk about. One, and this first one seems to be the thing that dominates our discourse today regarding America, and that is racism. Does racism exist in the U.S.? Yes, absolutely it does. Does it only come from whites? No, it does not. Racism is an ugly sin, and it is perpetrated by every race on the planet. Was America guilty for having slavery? Absolutely. Has there been any nation or culture on the planet that has not been guilty of slavery? No. In fact, while America was not the first to abolish slavery, it certainly wasn't the last. Slavery is still being practiced around the world. Nobody wants to talk about it because it's culturally insensitive to mention the places and cultures that still practice slavery. If America were systemically racist still to this day, why is it that America is the number one desired destination of non-white people around the world? How do we know this? They vote with their feet. They apply to come here legally. They come here illegally. If today's black Africans were better off in Africa, they would not apply for visas to the United States at the extremely high rate that they do. Other countries are also besotted with this evil that is racism. I have coworkers, being in a high-tech industry, I have many coworkers who are Indian, Pakistani, other Asian ethnicities in particular, because they still take their education, particularly in math and science, seriously. Some of my coworkers who've immigrated from the UK say they're treated far better here than they were there. Is that a universal experience in the UK? No. Is it a universal experience here? No. But there's racism in other places. We don't hear about it because America bad. Does any of that justify past slavery or racism? Of course not. But it adds context to the reality of the situation today. America is not systemically racist. If it were, non-white people simply wouldn't want to live here and come here from other places where they are the majority. Second, America is often accused of being an imperialist country. Now, for this, I am going to go back a ways. Would an imperialist country simultaneously defeat two world powers on opposite sides of the globe, and then, rather than annexing their land and resources, spend its own resources to rebuild those nations and hand them back over to the aggressors? Doesn't sound very imperialist or colonialist to me. More recently, would an imperialist country have walked through Iraq like a warm knife through soft butter and done the same thing, spent billions of our own dollars rebuilding the country that was the aggressor, and then hand that country back over to them, even knowing that they would not be a strong ally? Would an imperialist, colonialist country spend 50 years of the majority or a larger portion of its GDP fighting a Cold War against the Soviet Union and not demand, with force if necessary, that the countries that were protected by that outpouring of American tax dollars, my tax dollars, that be repaid in some way, whether through direct repayments or through land? No, this is not imperialism or colonialism. Do we have territories that are not states in which citizens have some rights of citizenship, but not full? Yes. I would argue that many of those places, Guam, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, are better off as protectorates of the United States than if they were completely on their own. Look how China is threatening Taiwan. Do you think Guam would stand? Look at the drug issues from South America. Do you think Puerto Rico would have stood? Similarly with the Virgin Islands. There are complex political issues about considering any of those to be changed from protectorates to states. But we spend far more on those places and others that are protectorates than we get back. That's just political reality. Colonialist? No. America isn't. Are we perfect? Well, heaven forbid we would ever think that. America never has been perfect. It never will be perfect. We're made up of imperfect people. But we're a damn good country. And we deserve better than the criticism, not just external, a lot of it internal, that we get for not being perfect. Pork roll. I hope that satisfies your desire for a VR regarding country. Now let's talk about this blend. I'm going to be brief on this. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. Heine, H-E-I-N-E. It would be Heine in German. Heinz, anglicized. Heine, maybe. I have no idea how it's pronounced. Sutliff's Heinz blend, we'll just call it that for now, is a burley base. As such, could it be an all-day smoke? Yeah, it burns cool enough to do that. It's a cube cut, rough cut. Doesn't burn particularly hot. It has a sort of a medium burley flavor. If you don't like rough burleys, this might be a little on the rough side, but it's really not. It's not a harsh, hard burley. This is not Old Joe Krantz or Haunted Bookshop by any means. It also, however, doesn't have anything that just grabs me the way Old Joe Krantz and Haunted Bookshop do. For me, it's good. I'd call it a 3. It's not something I would buy again, but it's most definitely smokable. And if you would like to try a burley that is on the milder side of burleys, this strikes me as that. And it might be something worth your shot. With that, folks, enjoy your July 4th if you're celebrating here in America like I am. I know y'all Canadians just celebrated a few days before us, and I hope your celebration was every bit as good as ours is going to be today. And wherever you are, light something you like. Think about the things that you can be thankful for. And not just the things that America has provided, but the things God's provided for you. Light something you like and enjoy that afternoon.